Welcome back to Pursuing with Confidence. I'm Dr. Alison Liu. Over the past 4 episodes, we've explored theory. We've explored psychology, philosophy, frameworks. We've given you tools and principles. Today, we do something different. Today, we listen to real people. I've conducted interviews with 4 couples in Taiwan who navigated the journey from single to partnered using the principles we've discussed. Secure attachment, virtuous masculinity, and honest communication. Their stories are diverse, their backgrounds are different, but what they share is a commitment to pursuing and building relationships with integrity. I'll be sharing these stories with you in 2 ways. First, I'll narrate all 4 stories from my perspective. Then, I'll invite the men to share their own voices and reflections. This way, you'll hear the full picture from multiple angles. These are the voices of hope. These are people who didn't accept the narrative of inevitable singleness, who took action, who were brave enough to be vulnerable, and who built something real as a result. Let's begin. Our first story features Marcus, a 32-year-old engineer in Taipei, and Sophia, a 29-year-old artist who moved to Taiwan from Spain. Marcus recognized himself as anxiously attached, always checking his phone. In his previous relationship, constantly worried about being abandoned, always trying to prove himself. The relationship ended in heartbreak. After the breakup, he did therapy for 2 years to work through where his anxiety came from. His parents had an unstable relationship. His father was withdrawn and his mother was very needy. He'd repeated that pattern. When Marcus met Sophia, he was determined to do it differently. He was very upfront from the beginning. On their 3rd date, he said something like, "I need to be honest with you, I have a tendency to get anxious in relationships. I'm working on that. But I wanted to tell you because if I do get anxious, I want you to know what's happening. It's not because of anything you're doing. It's something I'm managing." Sophia was impressed. Most men don't say that. What changed everything was Marcus's honesty when he did get anxious. And he did. Sophia understood it. He wasn't being clingy or controlling, he was being real. They could talk about it. Sophia could say, "I notice you're anxious right now. What do you need?" And Marcus could say, "I just need to know that you care about me," or "I need to spend some time together." They developed rituals. Every Sunday night, they'd have a check-in conversation where they'd both express how they were feeling about the relationship that created so much safety. Marcus chose to be honest instead of playing games. The more honest he was, the safer Sophia felt. Because she knew what she was getting, there were no surprises or games. They just got engaged last month. Marcus's attachment style shifted. Not completely, he still has anxious tendencies. But he's not controlled by them anymore. He can feel the anxiety, name it, and then choose how to respond. That's freedom. And being with someone secure like Sophia helped. She never triggered his fears. She was always available. Always honest. After a while, Marcus internalized that safety. He became more secure too. Our second story features David, 35, a software developer, and Jennifer, 31, a teacher. David identified strongly as avoidantly attached. He didn't really pursue anyone for over a decade. He was scared. He had a distant father who never expressed emotions. He became that, distant, withdrawn, independent to the point of isolation. He was successful professionally, he had a nice apartment, but he was incredibly lonely and he wouldn't admit it. What changed? He listened to our first episode. He was listening to a podcast about tech and he scrolled and found our episode about World Prematurity Day and marriage crisis. Something about the way we connected those 2 crises grabbed him. He realized he'd been using "I'm not good at dating" as an excuse. But really, he was scared at 34. He realized he'd wasted a decade waiting for the right moment, waiting for someone to pursue him. It wasn't happening. Why should it? He wasn't putting himself out there. He wasn't being vulnerable. He joined a pottery class, not to meet someone, just to do something. And he met Jennifer there. Jennifer was surprised when David asked her to coffee. He seemed so removed. Then at coffee, he said something like, "I'm not good at this. I haven't dated in years. I'm probably gonna say awkward things. But I'd like to keep spending time with you if you're willing to see where it goes." It was so honest, so vulnerable. There was nothing smooth about it. But it was incredibly late, and he wouldn't admit it. What changed? He listened to our first episode. He was listening to a podcast about tech, and he scrolled and found our episode about World Prematurity Day and marriage crisis. Something about the way we connected those two crises grabbed him.
When he wanted to retreat, when Jennifer wanted to talk about the relationship his instinct was to shut down. When she invited him to meet her family, his instinct was to find an excuse, but he kept choosing to stay engaged. It was uncomfortable for him, but Jennifer was patient. She never pressured him. She just consistently showed up and made space for him to come out of his shell. Jennifer could see him trying. That's what mattered. He was stretching himself, and slowly he became more present, more verbal, more emotionally available. They're now living together. David says this is terrifying and wonderful. He has someone he wants to be present. For that, motivation changes everything. Instead of asking, why should I be vulnerable? He's asking, how do I show up for this person I love? Our third story is particularly relevant because it involves what many people fear: expressing romantic interest to someone who was previously just a friend. The story features Kai, 28, and Maimei, 26. Kai and Maimei were friends for 3 years before Kai expressed romantic interest. That's a long time to hide feelings. He kept waiting for the perfect moment. He kept thinking, when we have more in common, or when I have a better job, or when she's clearly single and interested in dating. These excuses went on for 3 years. Then he listened to our first episode again. Something clicked. We talked about how waiting is a form of cowardice. How the men who are needed right now are the ones willing to be vulnerable despite fear. Kai realized he'd been using friendship as a shield. He could stay connected to Maimei, see her regularly without risking rejection. But that wasn't fair to her or to him. She deserved to know how he felt, and he deserved to take the risk. Kai and Maimei texted constantly. They hung out a lot. Maimei genuinely didn't know if Kai was interested in her romantically or if they were just good friends. Then one day Kai asked her to go for a walk. Maimei remembered thinking, this is it, he's gonna tell me something. And she was terrified because she liked him, but she was also worried that if she didn't reciprocate the same way, she'd lose her best friend. Kai told her he had romantic feelings for her, and he said, Maimei will never forget this. I know this might change things between us, and that scares me. But I realized it's better to be honest and have a chance at something real than to stay comfortable in ambiguity. Maimei told him she needed time to think. She wasn't saying no, but she wasn't immediately saying yes either. And Kai actually gave her time. He didn't keep pursuing. He didn't send messages trying to convince her. He just waited, but not desperately. He continued living his life. In that week, Maimei realized she did have feelings for him. They'd been there, but she was scared to acknowledge them because she didn't want to lose the friendship. But when Kai put himself out there, it freed her to admit what she actually felt. After a week, Maimei texted Kai, I think we should try dating. It was one of the best moments moments of his life. They've now been together for 2 years. They're planning to get married next year. The courage to cross that boundary, to risk the friendship for the possibility of something more. That was the bravest thing Kai did, and it's led to the best thing that's happened to him.
Our final story involves an intercultural couple, which adds a layer of complexity. This is James, 36, an American who moved to Taiwan for work, and Chenwei, 33, Taiwanese. Initially, James didn't think he had a chance with Chenwei. He assumed she'd be interested in Taiwanese men. He had notions about what she'd want based on her culture, but he wasn't honoring her actual autonomy and preferences. He was listening to our episode 3 about virtue ethics and treating women as equals, and he realized he was falling into a pattern of assuming rather than asking. He was othering Chenwei based on her culture. So James decided to just be direct. He asked Chenwei out. He was upfront about who he was. American, probably leaving Taiwan in a few years. No intention to fix her or change her culture. Just a genuine person interested in seeing if they had compatibility. Chenwei appreciated that James didn't treat her like an exotic puzzle to solve. He saw her as a person. He was curious about her culture, but he didn't fetishize it. He was just honestly interested in her. Cultural differences did create conflict. Of course, family dynamics are very different, gender roles, communication styles, expectations around marriage and children, all different. But because James approached these things with curiosity rather than judgment, they could work through them. James had to learn to listen, to understand that Chenwei's family dynamics, her cultural expectations, her way of communicating, those weren't wrong, they were just different. And his American directness, which he'd always seen as a virtue, sometimes felt aggressive to her. They had to find a middle way. They compromised on communication style. They navigated family expectations together, but the foundation was mutual respect and genuine curiosity about each other's worlds. Chenwei said his willingness to take the risk of pursuing her across cultural boundaries demonstrated vulnerability that she hadn't seen in Taiwanese men she'd dated before. That was attractive to her. They're now talking about marriage. They're trying to figure out where to build their life. James could stay in Taiwan. Chenwei could return to the US so they could try somewhere else. But the point is, they're trying to figure it out together, not one person deciding and the other following. That partnership approach where James doesn't see Chenwei as someone he'll convince or lead, but as an equal collaborator in building a life. That's everything. Partnership and mutual respect. That's what transforms everything. Now I'm gonna step back and let the men themselves share their experiences. You'll hear Marcus, David, Kai, and James reflect on their own journeys in their own voices.
My name is Marcus, I'm 32, working as an engineer in Taipei. And honestly, before this pod, I didn't even know what attachment theory meant. But when I heard episode 2, I recognized myself immediately. I was anxiously attached in my past relationship. I was always checking my phone. I was worried she'd leave me. I was constantly trying to prove myself. It was exhausting for both of us. And eventually she left, and I was devastated. The breakup was the wake-up call I needed. I spent 2 years in therapy after that. I worked through where my anxiety came from. My parents had an unstable relationship. My dad was withdrawn, my mom was very needy. I repeated that pattern without even realizing it. I realized anxiety isn't weakness, It's not something to hide, it's something to understand and manage. When I met Sophia, I decided to be different. I was upfront about my attachment pattern. On our third date, I told her I had anxiety tendencies and I was working on them. I wanted her to notice about me. Sophia's response changed everything. She said she appreciated the honesty. Most women don't expect their vulnerability from a man. Most women expect men to be stoic and have it all figured out. What I learned is that honesty creates safety. The more honest I was about my fears and needs, the safer Sophia felt. Because there were no surprises, there were no games. She knew what she was getting. We developed a ritual every Sunday night. We'd have a check-in where we both expressed how we were feeling about the relationship. That simple practice transformed everything. It's not that my attachment anxiety disappeared, it didn't. But I'm not controlled by it anymore. I can feel it, acknowledge it, and choose how to respond. That's freedom. Sophia is securely attached, and over time her security became my security. I internalized her stability, I became more secure too. We got engaged a couple months ago. I'm excited, I'm also still scared sometimes, but I'm doing it anyway. And that's what it means to pursue with courage.
David, I'm 35, a software developer, and for a long time I was the guy who didn't date. I was single for over a decade. People thought I was asexual or uninterested. The truth, I was terrified. I had a distant father. He never showed emotions, he never expressed affection. I became him, withdrawn, independent, defended against intimacy. I told myself I didn't need anyone, that I was fine alone. I wasn't fine, I was incredibly lonely, but I wouldn't admit it. Then I listened to the first episode of this podcast. Something about the way Dr. Lou connected world prematurity data. Taiwan's marriage crisis grabbed me. She was saying that waiting passivity, that's a choice too, and it has consequences. I realized I've been using I'm not good at dating as an excuse, but really I was just scared to be vulnerable at 34. I realized I'd wasted a decade waiting for the right moment, waiting for someone to pursue me. It wasn't happening, why should it? I wasn't putting myself out there. So I joined a pottery class just to do something, and I met Jennifer. But I did it anyway. And at coffee I was honest with her. I told her I hadn't dated in years. I was probably gonna be awkward, but I wanted to see if we could spend time together. That honesty, that vulnerability seemed to matter to her. She wasn't put off by it, she respected it. After that I had to keep choosing to stay engaged. When Jennifer wanted to talk about the relationship, my instinct was to shut down. I had to override that instinct. When she wanted me to meet her family, I wanted to find an excuse. I had to choose differently. It was uncomfortable, but Jennifer was patient. She didn't pressure me, she just consistently showed up. And slowly I came out of my shell. I'm not suddenly this emotionally fluent guy. I still have avoidant tendencies, but I'm not letting them run my life anymore. I can feel the urge to withdraw, and I can choose to stay present instead. Living with Jennifer now, I have someone I wanna be present for. That changes your motivation. Instead of asking, why should I be vulnerable, you ask, how do I show up for this person I love? That's what made the difference for me.
My name is Kai. I'm 28. And I wanna talk about something a lot of men struggle with: expressing romantic interest to someone who was your friend. My May and I were friends for 3 years. 3 years I had feelings for her the whole time, but I kept waiting. I kept thinking there'd be a perfect moment when I had a better job, when she was clearly interested in dating, when I felt more confident. These excuses went on for 3 years. I was listening to the first episode of this podcast again, and Dr. Lou said something that hit me hard. She said, waiting, that's cowardice. That the men who are needed right now are the ones willing to be vulnerable despite fear. I realized I'd been using friendship as a shield. I could be connected to my me, see her regularly without risking rejection, but that wasn't fair to her. She deserved to know how I actually felt, and honestly, I deserved to take the risk. So I asked her to go for a walk, and I told her I had romantic feelings for her. I said I knew this might change things between us, and that scared me, but I realized it was better to be honest and have a chance at something real than to stay comfortable in ambiguity. My hands were shaking when I said it. She told me she needed time to think. That's not a yes, but it's not a no either. I wanted to keep pursuing, to convince her to push for an answer, but I didn't. I gave her actual space. I continued living my life. A week later she texted me, I think we should try dating. That text, I'll never forget it. It was one of the best moments of my life. We've been together 2 years now. We're planning to get married next year. The courage to cross that boundary, to risk the friendship for something real, that was the scariest thing I've done. And it led to the best thing that's happened to me. If you're a guy right now feeling scared about expressing interest to someone, do it. Take the risk. Worst case, they say no and you move on. Best case, you build something real. But if you don't take the risk, you'll never know. And that's a different kind of loss.
I'm James, I'm 36. I'm American, living in Taiwan. And I want to talk about pursuing someone across cultural boundaries. When I first met Chenwei, I didn't think I had a chance with her. I assumed she'd want to be with a Taiwanese man. I had all these assumptions about what she'd want based on her culture. I wasn't actually honoring her autonomy as a person. Then I listened to episode 3 about virtue ethics and treating women as equals. And I realized I was doing the opposite. I was othering Chenwei based on her culture. I was making assumptions about her instead of asking her, actually seeing her. So I decided to be direct. I asked her out. I was honest about who I am. American. Probably leaving Taiwan eventually, not trying to change her or fix her. Just genuinely interested in seeing if we had compatibility. Chenwei appreciated that I didn't try to exoticize her. I wasn't treating her like a puzzle to solve or a cultural conquest. I was just interested in her as a person. Did we have cultural differences? Absolutely. Family dynamics, gender roles, communication styles, expectations about marriage and children. All different. We had real conflicts about these things. But because I approached these differences with curiosity instead of judgment, we could work through them. I had to learn to listen, to understand that her way of doing things wasn't wrong, just different. And my American directness, which I'd always thought was a virtue, sometimes felt aggressive to her. We compromised, we found a middle way. But the foundation was always mutual respect and genuine curiosity about each other's worlds. Chenwei said my willingness to take the risk of pursuing her across cultural boundaries showed vulnerability she hadn't seen in other Taiwanese men she'd dated. And she found that attractive. We're talking about marriage now. We're trying to figure out where to build our life. Taiwan, the US, or somewhere else. But the point is, we're figuring it out together as equals, as partners. That's what made the difference. Not that I pursued, but that I pursued while respecting her as an equal, as a full human being with her own autonomy, dreams, and agency. That's what real partnership looks like.
Thank you for hearing from Marcus, David, Kai, and James directly. Their voices, their experience, their honesty. That's what matters. What strikes me about these 4 stories, hearing them told first through my narrative, then in their own voices, is how the same themes emerge again and again. First, they all did internal work. Marcus examined his attachment anxiety and went to therapy. David overcame his avoidance and chose vulnerability. Kai conquered his fear of rejection. James questioned his cultural assumptions. None of these men were naturally confident or naturally secure. They all had to work for it. Second, they all involved honest communication. Marcus told Sophia about his anxiety on the 3rd date. David admitted to Jennifer he hadn't dated in years. Kai crossed a 3-year friendship boundary by speaking his truth. James was upfront about his timeline and intentions. None of these relationships started with games or manipulation. They started with truth. Third, they all involved taking a risk. These men, Marcus, David, Kai, James, each took the risk of being vulnerable, of expressing interest, of pursuing while respecting the other person. And yes, that risk involved the possibility of rejection. They did it anyway. Fourth, they all involved women who, when approached with respect and honesty, were willing to engage authentically. These women weren't fence-sitters. When given the clear signal that a man was interested in partnership, they were able to respond with their own truth. Some reciprocated, some needed time, but they all responded with authenticity. And finally, each of these relationships, while still new and being built, is grounded in something real. Not fantasy, not rescue fantasy, not possession fantasy, but genuine partnership based on mutual respect and authentic connection. Sophia with Marcus, Jennifer with David, Maimei with Kai, Chenwei with James. These women chose these men, and more importantly, these men chose to be choosable, to show up with integrity, vulnerability, and respect. This is what's possible when men pursue with wisdom, courage, and character. Now, here's what I want to say to anyone listening. You heard from 4 men who took different paths. Marcus dealt with his anxiety. David overcame his avoidance. Kai crossed a friendship boundary. James navigated cultural differences. Their situations aren't identical to yours, but their principles apply universally. The principle is, be honest, be courageous, be respectful, and take the risk. Taiwan's future depends on men like Marcus, David, Kai, and James being willing to do this work, to examine themselves, to be vulnerable, to pursue something real. These 5 episodes have taken us on a journey. We started with Taiwan's demographic crisis and why your individual action matters. We explored attachment theory and your own psychology. We learned from ancient philosophy about virtue and character. We created practical tools for honest communication. And we heard from real people who've done the work. As we wrap up this first series, I want to say, this is just the beginning. There are more stories to tell. There are more tools to develop. There are more questions to explore about what happens after initial attraction, about building long-term relationships, about creating families in an economically challenging time. I'm planning a second season that dives deeper into all of this. But for now, I want to thank you for your courage in listening, in questioning, in considering a different way of relating and pursuing. Taiwan's future depends on people like you. Men willing to examine themselves, willing to be vulnerable, willing to pursue something real, and women willing to respond authentically when a man shows up with integrity. I'm Dr. Allison Liu. This has been Pursuing with Confidence. Thank you for being here.